And what's up, guys? This is Anthony Anthem, aka Black Fabio, aka the Midnight Marauder, aka the Monk with the Technique and the Fiery Fist, aka Fist of the North Star, aka. Okay, we got a special guest.
AKA the man with 1,000 names. Good Lord.
And I'm already getting roasted. Would you like to introduce yourself, sir?
Yeah, of course. Greetings. My name is Kennedy Phillips. I'm the creator of Magus Elgar by trade. I'm a sound editor and video editor and Foley artist and voice actor.
Extraordinaire. So, you're a man of many hats, I see.
You kind of have to have many hats in my field.
Well, since I got you on here, and I appreciate you for coming on to the show, because I love having dialogue with different folks from different strokes. Tell me a little bit about, tell the fans a little bit about your show, my man.
Well, my show is called Magus Elgar. It's a fantasy comedy inspired by the works of Terry Pratchett. If you're not familiar with him, he was J.K. Rowling before she got big. He wrote the Discworld series, which is kind of like Lord of the Rings written by Monty Python. Very tongue-in-cheek, very humorous.
I love Monty Python.
And I absolutely love this guy's sense of style for his writing. So I took that and I made an audio drama out of it. The premise is it's a blend of magic and science colliding together between two dimensions in which Magus Elgar and his apprentice Udo Malaki team up with scientists Dr. Gra Horatio and Kaylee Fawn to search for stamps, scientific tools augmented with magical power.
Wow.
Searching for a way to try and solve them before all reality rips apart. Or instead of solving it, at least watching it happen.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're about to get our mind blown because this man right here is explaining something that I feel like is a new thing in a new realm that I haven't really seen in the podcast. I got to listen to some of his stuff, and I'm not gonna lie, I snorted a couple times. That's how funny the show was. And I like the fact that like you got like multiple voice actors on there. Like, how many voice actors do you have on this on the show?
Anywhere, but I think it's like between 12 to 15. We had a lot of people doing like extra bits and stuff, but we have some great voice talent in there. We've got William Violenis playing Magus Elgar, Christopher Moore, Sandra Espinoza, who's pretty famous on YouTube, Brian Stavali, who's done everything from Batman to Venom. Kellen Goff, who's getting really big. He's about to be one of the big villains in My Hero Academia. He plays Wizard Quaff for us.
What?
Oh, yeah, man.
Dude! I love My Hero. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the guy right now. He's it's like the newest season. They dropped him. Like, he's the guy with the big beak and who's coughing all the time.
The big beacon who's coughing all the time. Wait a minute. I'm trying to think here. Let's see. Okay. I know there's a shadowy figure one. There's a girl that drinks blood. There's a guy that basically engulfs everything in the flames. There's a guy who has like the mask with like the hands and stuff. I'm trying to think.
Kai Chisaki.
Kai Chisaki.
Yeah, like they haven't animated, like, I don't think they've released the newest season of My Hero Academia just yet. They like literally just introduced him in the last season.
Oh, wait a minute, at the very end of the last season?
Yeah. He's going to be like I think he's going to be a major villain in the next season, which they're working on right now.
Oh, holy cow.
He also played Freddy Fazbear in Five Nights at Freddy's.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Weird world, right?
How'd you get him on the show?
It was honestly, it was a complete fluke. I didn't pick him because of like his fame or anything like that. I picked him because he was the right guy for the job. He's playing a character named Wizard Quaff, who's this like really crazy. Like imagine if Gandalf and Dumbledore were paranoid.
That's a weird.
Um, just kind of, this man is called a consumer of knowledge because he literally eats books. Um,
He
and
eats them.
when Kellen came into the studio to record the voice, he's on his phone, and this guy is like so much younger than I would have expected him to be. And he comes up to me and says, "Oh yeah, by the way, my NDA just broke out of this. I played Freddy Fazbear in Five Nights at Freddy's." I look at him like, "Why did you just tell me this now?"
He just like casually just said it.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he was
Well,
excited about it, and I looked at him like I think he was convinced that I wouldn't know what that was. But when I looked at him and I'm like, I'm losing my shit. I'm like, why didn't you tell me? He's like, because of NDA agreements. I'm like, that's fair.
uh, well, okay, that's fair. But at the same time, that's like one of the most popular games, like in the last like decade. That's one of the most popular games. Like that thing has a cult following. It has books. It
Yeah.
has fan fiction. It has like they were talking about doing a movie or something like that on it too.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could probably work, but like, like a lot. I think one thing that people really liked about Five Nights at Freddy's is that it had a lot of like background lore to like dig into.
Oh yeah,
Um,
Purple Man and all that.
yeah, and like Sister Location was the one that he got to play as Freddy Fazbear in, because Freddy didn't have a proper voice aside from just extra voice actor recordings back then.
That's right.
Um,
It's
like
like
as a side topic on that, if you're really into like that kind of stuff for Five Nights at Freddy's, there's a YouTube series of I can't believe that I'm referencing this. It is a it is a fake YouTube of a fake Let's Play of a fake video game that has some really crazy lore. I know
hmm,
Game Theory was making a whole series about this. It's called Petscop.
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 Huh.
Like it's actually really trippy because this it's like this it's a YouTube series where like every single aspect of this fictional PlayStation game is meticulously crafted to tell this really creepy story. Where like they even have like glitches that are programmed as part of a vessel to tell the story.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez, I might have to check that out. Cause,
Like if you're a
'cause,
fan of
like,
Five Nights at Freddy's, like it's really interesting to watch on YouTube. It's also like really creepy.
well, I do like some interesting stuff. Plus, I'm a fan of horror, especially Asian horror and stuff like that. But I also like
Mm-hmm.
this because it reminds me of Asian horror because it has ghosts in it. So I might have checked that out. So things to do. Check. I might need you to reference that after we get off of this interview
Yeah,
because
I'll send you a link to it.
please and thank you.
Right, I
Um,
think we were talking about something else, weren't we?
yes, we were talking about the wonderful voice actors. I kind of nerded out about My Hero Academia, so because I'm a huge anime fan. So, um, so back on the topic. So, tell me more about some of the wonderful voice actors on your wonderful like show. Please tell me.
I don't know if I'd say wonderful another three times, but um, well, one of the voice actors that I got was Sandra Espinoza. She's known as Dusty Old Roses online. She's done tons of voice acting all over the place. One that I actually remember that I was a fan of is on YouTube. There's an animator named Terminal Montage who does this Something About series. She actually played as a Waddle Dee on one of those, and it's one of her smaller roles, but I loved it so much because she's like screaming the whole time.
Question: what is a Waddle Dee?
It's a character from it's a character from Kirby. It's one of King Dedede's minions.
That's right. Okay. I had to remember that reference. Man, it's been a hot minutes to play the Kirby game.
Yeah, she also plays Brawl Star. She also plays Shelly in Brawl Stars, that new mobile game.
Oh, she. Wait, what? Really?
Yeah, she also plays Elmira in, I think it's Final Fantasy Machine Abridged.
Jeez, Louise. Okay,
Like
so
she's done quite a few things. Like she played Demeter in Apotheon. I think she was the female scout on a mod for Team Fortress 2. But like it was funny because she had like a pretty big YouTube following, and one of my friends was a fan of her. I was trying to find a good voice for Kaylee, who's this. She's working to get her doctorate, and she's also might secretly be a wannabe supervillain. She's highly intelligent, highly skilled at almost everything she does, but she gets a little caught up in being the evil megalomaniac, laughing in front of lightning striking kind of character. So when I was trying to cast for Kaylee, I could not find someone that was right for it. I had 250 people audition for her, and all of them, they were just missing that one little inch. They were all fantastic, just not quite what I was looking for. So when my friend contacted me and told me, hey, what about this person? I'm like, oh, she's never going to take this. Like she's probably in this echelon above what I'm doing. I'm a nobody. I go and send her a private message, and she sends me an audition within 10 seconds. And I'm like, that's her. All right, cool. Let's go with that.
Oh, wow.
And so many of these roles were just, I never would have imagined getting them. Like another one was Brian Stavali, who his IMDb is staggering because he's played like over 400 different roles. I'm trying to think of what he's most notable for. I know he played Eddie Brock in Marvel Avengers Academy. Like he's Warwick in AFK Arena. He's Bo in Brawl Stars. He's Charles Miner in The Return of Obra Dinn. It's just he's like I'm scrolling through his thing right now. It's insane how much stuff he's done. He played actually 2 roles in my show, which he auditioned both of them over a cell phone.
Hold on. 3, 2, 1. Hi. So I kind of lost you for a second, man.
Yeah, I guess I slipped into hammer space for a brief second. I don't.
Like, really? I was like, did he go to Westworld? What happened? Like he just like vanished from thin air. To those who are wondering what's going on, so basically, so I record these interviews on Skype. So, like, yeah, we kind of lost each other for like.
Well, what happened is that because Skype is such an antiquated piece of technology, if we're talking about newfangled things for too long, that exposition tends to make Skype kind of get distracted and tune out.
What he said, all of that, like, I mean, I was gonna go that deep, but you know what, sir?
Oh God, he's talking about something that came up after 2007. I want to do something else right now.
Yeah, see what had happened was, guys, it broke did, for those who were trying to figure out what in the world's going on. But we're back, we're live, we're in action, and in the words of the Power Rangers, back in action is morphin' time. Okay, that was terrible. Don't judge me for that. Anyways, so we were talking about how like you DM'd what was her name one more time?
My name or
you were DMing one of your colleagues for the show, and
oh yeah, I was messaging I was messaging Sandra Espinoza.
Sandra Espinoza, remember that name, folks.
Yeah, she was she was playing Kaylee Fawn, and like she sent me an audition within like a couple of minutes, and I'm like, well, this is perfect. Another one that I had was Brian Stavali, who's played like everything under the sun. He's played oh God, he's played Eddie Brock on Marvel Avengers Academy. He's done Bo in Brawl Stars. He's Charles Miner in Return to the Obra Dinn. He does a lot of video games and a lot of narration stuff. He also does quite a few audio dramas similar to my show.
Sweet.
And he's actually the narrator for Tekken 7. That's random.
Wait a what?
He's the narrator for Tekken 7.
Where are you finding these people, man?
He sent me auditions over the phone. I was using voices.com for a lot of my stuff starting out, and they sent me hundreds of auditions. And what was crazy was that Brian Stavali ended up getting 2 roles in my show. He played Got Ironball, who's this bumbling former guard for the Council of Nine, who now works for the Ministry of the Minister of Textiles, Minister Trike, Minister Dobble Trike. And he also plays my primary villain that comes in pretty later into the series, Victus.
Wow. I'm just you're pulling out these names, right? I wouldn't know about a name, right? But when you pull out the fact that they're working on certain, like they've worked on certain projects, things that I know, especially since I'm like a huge nerd. Like I'm an open nerd. I'm just gonna say it like that. I'm a straight up nerd.
Nerds have inherited the earth, my friend. Don't feel ashamed of that anymore. We live in a time period where it's actually probably a little bit more taboo to consider yourself a jock. Because they hear that and they're like, where's your resume? I want to see the skill sets that you have. And it's like, it's all good, bro. I got it.
You just kind of put a bad taste in my mouth just thinking about that, like being a jock. Like, I mean, I played sports, but I wasn't a jockish type. I wasn't like, yeah, bro. Then after that, we're gonna go to the kegger at Molly Sapphire's house. So that sounds like a porn name. Anyways, so
I mean, I had sports myself. I was on the swim team in high school, but that's not something you usually associate with jockish type presences.
Yeah, I was not that cool in high school. I knew a lot of people. I was not that cool. Oh my gosh. So yes, nerds have inherited the earth. We're taking over. And we have pillaged and definitely turned everything into a metropolis of nerddom. I know that was so.
I mean, consider that like we're living in a time period where the highest grossing film of the year is a comic book movie,
which is fantastic. I'm just gonna say that movie deserves an Oscar.
Yeah, and to go even further, the most talked about show that's happening right now happens to be a fantasy.
Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, do you watch GOT?
You're gonna hate me for this. So here's the weird bit. I have a problem where I usually don't have a lot of time to watch a lot of television. Usually when I'm done with work, I want to sit down and play some games. But my roommates wanted me to watch this show with them. The problem is that because I'm so busy, they end up getting ahead of me. So I watched all of season 1, which was great. I watched half of season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then I watched, inexplicably, season 6, 7, and 8.
Oh, you skipped some stuff.
I skipped some stuff, but you know what the weird thing was? I didn't feel like I missed much. Especially after the most recent seasons. But it was weird because like I'm watching this stuff, I'm like, I know exactly what's going on right now. Why do I know what's going on right now? Maybe it was because I got osmosis from my roommates or something. Because one of my friends who comes to watch it, who happens to be one of my writers now, she tends to she tends to scream at the television set like it's a soap opera.
I mean, it is kind of a soap opera. It's like a softcore porno soap
Yeah, but
opera.
I mean like a Latino soap opera, like one of those where
Oh,
that
we're
kind of
talking
intense shit.
like El Salvador or something like that. Jeez, that bad?
She gets into it. It's entertaining to watch.
Okay, what you need to do is you need to get some microphones. The next time she finds a show that has a good cult following, you need to like just podcast it. Like you need to do like what is it called? Like a reaction. You need to do a reaction podcast because
Yeah, because like man, it's kind of funny. She has a an ability that I coined from a friend of mine from a long time ago called plot foo. Are you familiar with this concept?
no, I'm not. Please explain.
Okay, so it's the inexplicable ability that you have watched so many films and read so many books that you become intrinsically aware of where everything is going to go before they've even given you all of the information. So, for
Oh,
example, let me pick something that is a good twist, but everybody knows about already.
okay.
Imagine in Star Wars
Mm-hmm.
where Luke Skywalker is having the conversation with Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he's talking about Darth Vader, and he says, who was a pupil of mine and was seduced by the dark side. Crystal would snap her fingers and be like, "That's his father." And you're like, I don't even know how you came to this conclusion. Like a great one is spoilers for Frozen, if any of you have any reason to care about that movie. Um, this one was the best example of it. So the villain in that is a twist. Like like turns out to be a bad guy. And you can gauge how strong your plot foo is by how quickly you identify that he's going to be the villain.
Oh, actually, I knew he was the villain because I had to see that in theaters with an X.
Right, but how quickly did you identify it? What was the sentence in that movie that made you say, "Oh, that's the bad guy"?
When he wanted to get married to her, like then and there, something
Okay,
wasn't right.
so that's probably like right after the musical number, right? Where they talk about how they like know each other, can finish each other's sandwiches.
Yes.
Her the point she picked it out was, "Hello, my name is this person. I am I am the youngest of 7 siblings." And she's like, "That's the bad guy."
Yep.
First sentence that he was in, and she picked it out. It's crazy.
She must have figured out he had a lot of angst.
Oh man, it is so challenging to bury the lead for her in stuff. It's crazy. But it's a fantastic challenge because if stuff passes by her, nobody's gonna get it.
This is wow. Okay. I'm gonna need to sit down and have dialogue with her because I want to see. I want to kind of enter her mind and kind of see like how she views things in life. Because she's this good when it comes to plots. I can only imagine what she's like in the plot of life. She
Well,
might know the secret to
the nice
enlightenment.
thing is that when I was working on season 2, I decided to hire her because when I was working on Magus Elgar season 1, a lot of times she'd be in the room while I'm writing stuff. And of course, you get blocks on occasion because writing a comedy is difficult, making good jokes and stuff. And I can't even argue that my show has a great amount of humor in it because a lot of it is just a vessel for very, very painfully contrived puns.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was very punny, but I like puns. So my life is full of puns. I have dad
But the
jokes.
important thing is that they are atypical puns. They're not the kind of puns you normally hear from like your dad or something like that.
Well,
That's what
I
matters.
mean,
But
that's true.
but I'd have a lot of times where I'd be like, oh, I don't know what to write here, and then she'd be in the room and just like talk it out with me a little bit. And you know, she's done a lot of writing. She's worked on a web comic. She's trying to do her own novel and stuff like that. So I asked her to come on to be part of my writing team.
I mean, she has a webcomic. What kind of webcomic does she have?
Well, she's part of the writing team for it. It's called The Keystones of Jinveris, which is which was drawn and written by a friend of mine, Lucas Chang, which was actually based off of an RPG that we all ran way back in the day. At some point, my character is going to show up somewhere in that comic, but I'm like so far in the background, it's not even worth mentioning.
I to say, is it on Webtoons?
I don't know. I know he's got his own website for it. Keystones of Jinveris. Let me look that up.
Keystones of Jinveris. Well, shout out to that, 'cause I love reading different types of webtoons and stuff like that. Because I actually had a zap called Webtoons. Hey, speaking of which, Webtoons, sponsor me. I just had to put that out in the air.
Yeah, I'll talk to him about trying to put it on there. Like he's still pretty it's still pretty early on, but the writing's like really solid.
Where he wants believe to go. Me, they take one thing I like about Webtoons and their platform is they have all types of artists, and like I'm talking about, like you have people from Japan, Indonesia, here in America, the UK. Like it's a very, very diverse like platform because you get all types of style. You get some American-esque style comics, anime. Like you can go down the list. Like there's multiple concepts. It doesn't have to be one side of format of animation. Like
yeah.
But anyways, I feel like
I keep getting derailed about Mega Zelgar. I'm sorry.
No. I'm doing the same thing. Plus, like Mega Zelgar. Okay. Tell the people, how long have you been doing this, my man?
I'm embarrassed to admit this, but I've been working on this for about 3 years now.
Why are you embarrassed about working on it for 3 years? It's a process, my dude.
Well, I mean, part of it was there were a lot of factors that went into this. One is that I couldn't treat Magus Elgar like it was my day job. Because I wasn't getting any money off of it. I was putting my life savings into this thing. This was a testing ground to see if I could direct.
Mm-hmm.
And create something that I legitimately wanted to talk about. The first time that I wrote it, I went through all the scripts and realized I hated it. And I started from scratch. And that was like what, 4 to 6 months of work that I just kind of went down the drain.
Well, I mean, the fact is, man, like sometimes you got to build and try again.
My original climax was a battle against an imposing machine inside a secret lair in an underwater volcano, and I was bored.
Huh. Underwater volcano.
I might use an underwater volcano at some point, but I wasn't thinking too big on that.
What to say? Like, were your characters dealing with the Legion of Doom or something? All right, we going like Super Friends over here?
It's spoilers. No, but I ended up rewriting it. I wanted to. My problem that I was having was that I didn't have a strong villain, and I love villains. Villains are so much fun to write, and the one that I had at the time was so ineffectual and uninteresting that I was just like, I can't get behind this. So I went back and I started from scratch and rebuilt him from the ground up. And then, of course, I had to go on and off doing a lot of the work myself. I had some fantastic people helping me. I had the wonderful people over at Melody Gun Studios who I was working for at the time help me produce it, help me do some mixing for it, so on and so forth. And it took us about a year to get all of the recordings from all the characters, because a lot of them did not live in California. Some of them had to drive down to record with us, like Brian Stavali, Kellen Goff, Randy Nazarian. They all came to us to do that. Whereas William Violenis, who plays Magus Elgar, lives in Canada. So there's no way I'm going to get him to come to California.
Canada? Oh, yeah, that's a bit of a drive, my man.
He lived in, like, what, East Canada, so...
Oh, yeah. That's
ain't happening.
That's a plane ride. That's a good old. I got to do a couple like transfers through terminals to get to you. What part of Cali are you from, my man?
I'm south of Los Angeles. I'm in Lakewood.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm actually
South
like pretty
LA.
close to where all the action is. I ended up actually getting a house over here due to a lot of lucky breaks on my end. But I told myself when I wanted to move over here, is like, I want to make sure that I live close enough to Los Angeles, but not close enough to deal with the traffic on a daily basis.
Congratulations, sir. That's what everybody wants in that side of the world. Because I've been to your parts. I was staying in San Clemente for a little bit, and leaving LA, it took us about 2.5 hours.
God, right? It's like you just want to travel 20 miles across to Burbank to do a recording session. You're like, okay, be prepared to drive for 3.5 hours. I'm like, but it's only 20 miles. I know.
I just want to say this. It's bad when the smartest man in the world, one of the smartest men in the world, Elon Musk, is like, okay, this is not going to work. I hate this traffic. So let's make some underground tunnels to kill the traffic.
Yeah, because nothing says earthquake-prone state like an underground train network.
And that is California. An earthquake a day keeps, I don't know, maybe some of the hipsters away.
Well, then explain to me San Francisco.
Okay, see, San Francisco is its own monster, okay? I mean, that's
Are earthquakes just a little bit more environmentally friendly than some?
Okay, first of all, they still can't make a decent coffee over there. I go to Seattle where the real hipsters are. That's where they built them at. Or that or Portland, Oregon.
I mean, I've never been one to be a huge fan of coffee. If my show is any indication, that I end up describing it as dirt water.
Oh, you are so cold. I don't understand why you would think coffee is dirt water. Coffee is good for the soul. I just hate Starbucks.
Yeah, because there is a slight amount of suspicion with like I love the smell of coffee, but I get a tad suspicious when all of the news articles that come out of it says that coffee does everything from cure impotency to make you live 20 years longer to, oh my gosh, coffee is so incredible. I'm like, how much coffee are you drinking while you're doing these studies?
I'm just gonna say this, okay? In defense of coffee, there are signs of vitality in coffee. That is true, and some people drink coffee, or they eat the coffee bean, chocolates, whatever, because they want energy.
Oh, yeah, like
I
I'm
know
not
a lot of
doubting
bodybuilders
the
drink
benefits
coffee.
of coffee. I'm more making a joke out of it. Mostly just I'm not a fan of the taste.
Man, you haven't had the best coffee yet, man. The best coffee comes from South America, where we're destroying the ecosystem.
So it's fancy dirt water.
Exactly. You need to get yourself some fancy dirt water, a nice Bolivian or Colombian roast. That I just realized that kind of sounds like I'm talking about drugs here. Okay, so
and you've confirmed my point here. But funny enough, like a fun fact about coffee is that at one point I had to. One of my characters, Dr. Horatio, is obsessed with coffee. And at one point, he references a special type of coffee called, I think it was Indonesian Civet Luwak coffee, which is this very expensive, very fancy coffee that I looked it up. And apparently the reason why it's so fancy is because apparently like beetles eat it, poop it out, and it makes the coffee better.
Oh, sort of like that coffee in Vietnam with the lemurs.
I suppose. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, so I'm eating poop coffee now. Why is this the fancy one?
Yeah, because like in Vietnam, they got that same style of coffee.
You got fancy water, you got dirt water, fancy dirt water, and now fancy dirt poop water.
Mmm. It melts in your mouth. Mmm.
You are paying several $100s to drink sewage at that point.
Well, I mean,
if it tastes good, I ain't gonna judge you. I might judge you a little bit.
okay, you are mean. Judging a man for drinking exquisite coffee from the anus of a beetle. I mean, who knows? It might
It's not
cure
like
cancer.
that far from anything else. Most candy coloring comes from crushed beetle bodies anyway.
That actually, I mean,
life is unsettling when you break things down.
I mean, when you think about it, though, when it comes to like beetles, like, I mean, it is a source of protein. Like, you go to like a market in like Xinjiang, China, or something like that. There's beetles on a stick.
You know, I actually had one of those. It's not bad. Good source of protein. I wouldn't do it again.
Same here. Oh, come on, man. You got to go for it one more time.
Just the taste wasn't for me.
Get you some grasshopper, some fried grasshopper.
It's really the crunchy texture of it that like really
it reminds you you're eating bugs.
Where I'm just like, I really feel like this shouldn't be crunchy.
I don't know. You look at it, man. It looks like that looks crunchy. I watched a show called on YouTube called Best Food Ever, and he goes purposely looking for like weird things in different countries. Like I've seen him eat snake. I've seen him eat crocodile. I didn't even know crocodile was edible.
Yeah, man.
I did not know that. I knew alligator was edible. I didn't know you could eat a crocodile. I was like, well, I guess that makes sense in the way we eat alligator here in the States. So,
as a born Floridian, yes.
Oh, so you already know. You kill it, we'll grill it.
I mean, I never killed one. Like, there were a couple of places when I was like near the Everglades where they were like offering. And I was like, you know what, fine.
It's not bad. It's actually pretty good meat.
I think the weirdest one that I ever had was what was it? A croc hot dog? A croc dog?
A croc dog?
A gator dog. Like, I call it croc dog because it flows off the tongue better than gator dog.
Gator dog. It's like, is it half gator, half dog? Actually, that sounds like a mythological creature, actually. Well, there you go for your next episode. You can put a mythological creature, a croc dog.
I will honestly consider that. We after we finished season 1, we've been working a lot on developing the world of Magus Elgar for the world called the World of Hearth. Because one thing that I was a little frustrated about season 1, aside from a couple of other things, because I'm going to be a perfectionist about my baby, is we didn't really explore too many aspects of the world. So when I got my writing team together, a new writing team together to start developing the world, we came up with new races, we came up with locations, we came up with how the planet even looks, which is banana shaped, by the way. Because we established a lot of different rules in season 1, like how magic works, where you're literally insulting the laws of nature and goading them into trying to smite you, which you then channel into magical energy. We have like a whole series on YouTube called a primer, which explains like all this stuff with like nice little visuals and sound effects, narrated by Magus Serling Tentorn, voiced by me.
Ooh, that was nice.
to explain everything, because we talk about like the birth of magic, how the elements work, what type of casters there are, because we've got 3 different types of casters in this world.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to come up with a couple of locations, a couple of creatures, and so on and so forth. What was one of my favorite things to come up with was, we live in the world of Hearth. It's not bound by the laws of physics and the laws of science. So how would that affect a planet like that? What kind of weather patterns and other things like that would be affected if it was not driven by a scientific process, but by a series of emotionally driven, abstract representations of everything around you? Which led me to come up with this idea of something called an emotosphere. So on Earth, usually different areas like a forest, a desert, a tundra, those are biospheres.
Wow.
For different locations that dictate the kind of animal life that comes from there. An emotosphere is a location in Hearth that is defined by the emotional state of the elements. Season 1, we go to a location called Glumbledon, which is in a place called the Doldrums. That is defined by the gloomier, almost depressive, melancholic state that the elements can get in from time to time. Because the elements they all have their own spectrum of emotions, and they affect everything from like getting really depressed like in the doldrums, to being like really really happy and excited like in the gleewinds, to being very introspective in the umtinks.
Wow. Please continue. Like I'm actually very intrigued. Keep on going. Seriously.
One location that we wanted to explore in season 2 is called Zandahar. Okay. Eons ago, there was a sorcerer who wanted to create the biggest, most powerful spell of all time. So he etched these symbols into the earth. That was like this, like bigger than a football field kind of size. And in our world, the ancient tongue of Trite, which is just a stand-in for Latin, by the way, is a language so insulting to the elements that they have a knee-jerk reaction to try and smite you. The symbols that he had written into the earth was so offensive and such a perfect insult that to this day, the elements are still striking that area with incredibly aggressive magic, and the whole place is just basically a giant hole in the ground full of magma.
That's scary. Cool.
It's literally left a massive scar in Hearth because that someone had tried to create the most intense, powerful spell of all time. That man is dead, by the way.
I would think so. The way you just explained that, I'm pretty sure he is non-existent now.
It is like we actually have it where like if you look at the map of Hearth, you can see Zandahar from space.
Ooh.
Which just looks like this glowing bruise on this planetane that is our planet Banana.
So basically, it looks like the apocalypse already happened.
Just in one spot.
Huh. Okay, I like this. I like this concept. Dude, let me ask you this. I gotta ask. I gotta know, how does your brain work? Because it sounds like to me, these ideas that you have and these thoughts, your brain must run like 900 miles an hour.
Not as much as you'd think. I would say less that it runs 900 miles an hour and more like it's swerving rapidly between lanes and other people are getting kind of offended by the process because they have to slow down in their areas. And I'm just like, I'm just having a good time because I have a car. I work on what's called a stream of consciousness. a lot of times while I'm talking, I'm having I have like another thought running in the back of my head, or when someone's talking to me and I'm like sitting here like, yes, I'm listening. I end up having what's called shower thoughts. Have you ever had these thoughts where you're in the shower, you're bathing, getting ready for the day, and then suddenly it pops into your mind, why aren't baby cats called cattens and they're called kittens instead?
I've actually done that. I've had a lot of thoughts over the years. Shower. I even had a thought about Bill Cosby.
In the shower. I'm sorry.
It was just like the weirdest thought. I was like, it was like, what if Bill Cosby and R. Kelly knew each other? I'm not gonna go any further, but you can just tell me.
I think it would cause a singularity in sexual scandals, the likes of which we have never seen.
Yeah, it's very scary because the first thing I could think of is Bill Cosby giving his, typical Cosby eye to somebody, and R. Kelly comes out of nowhere. He's like, "That's the one. That's the one. I got you, fam."
That'd be a messed up spiritual successor to Dexter.
Oh God. Let's just not.
Anyway, so like this thought process thing I have. So problem with me is that I end up coming up with a lot of really fun ideas on the fly, but then I forget about them. And that's immensely frustrating when you have a really good joke and you don't like remember what it was because your mind's still thinking about a million other different things. Now, keeping in mind, this has the unfortunate side effect of for every 20 ideas I have, maybe about 3 of them are good. So I've got people to help me filter through them, particularly Sumi Ann Woodside, who is my proofreader and now my head of story, where she'd read my scripts and just write in red ink, just, no, you're not making this joke.
Well,
and of course, like a child in a candy shop would be like, but I want it. She's like, no, you're not going to have this. This is terrible. But I like it. I don't care. So what I end up doing to try and maintain all these ideas is I have this massive document that I created in 2016 called Loose Concepts. It's a scratch disk on my Google Drive that just has all of these random ideas from lines to concepts to stupid musings that I've had. For example, like I've got it right here. I can read 1 or 2 of them, and you'll get an idea of like what kind of random this is.
Hit me with your best shot, man.
Kaldak the Trolltor, half troll, half minotaur. He runs a bakery affectionately called the Beefcake.
Huh. Where? How? Shower thought?
Just random thought I had on the road. Or here's another one. This is from an exchange that I'm planning to write with between Minister Trike, who is a kind of our villain character, and Magus Elgar. I think I could do their voices separately enough. All right, we'll shake on it. Well, you probably wipe your butt with that hand. I'm left-handed, you idiot. That doesn't mean you don't wipe butts with it. I don't wipe butts with these hands. See? You're still a liar.
I like that. That
like another one. I was at a Renaissance fair, and apparently in May 23rd, 2017, centaur jousting. How do you unhorse a centaur?
You know what? That's fun. I like that because, like, how do you want? Like, how? Houseway. Explain that one.
Be some gory jousting, I tell you that much.
That's pretty much it. It's the fight to the death. That's basically what it is. It's like, you will be knocked down, centaur. You will be knocked down, centaur. This is basically a fight to the death. Should we just get some actual swords? Yes. So let me ask you this. Okay, so you're into like medieval style and fantasies, correct? That's
Well,
like
funny enough, fantasy is not, I would say, my bread and butter.
What's your bread and butter?
Uh,
What butter's your bread, my man?
well, I guess it's that I base a lot of my inspiration for writing and stuff from role playing games that I run, and a lot of
Oh, so
times
you do
I
D&D and Pathfinder and stuff?
yeah, but I actually don't do D&D as much as another system that I have called Savage Worlds, which is a little bit more open for setting. Because with D&D, you've got like, oh, ye old person from Gelgenhar wants you to go and collect the coins of Volistrad. Oh, good, you have defeated the goblins, and here, this is your thing. Make haste, yon rogue wizard fighter multi-class.
Bard, monk, all that kind of. Because I
Yeah, and
play
I'm like,
D&D.
I don't enjoy that kind of setting nearly as much as I do other settings. Because one that I would say is probably my bread and butter is this Lovecraftian mystery that I've been gestating for a very long time now. Because a lot of my ideas that I come up with for shows, for books, for movies, and for audio dramas were based off of RPGs that I had run. Um, and this one was a Lovecraftian mystery that takes place in an alternate version of the 90s, right when film was about to like start making its transition to digital.
Ooh.
If I may gush about it, it was the quizzical capstones of Octon Frobishobi, which is about a filmmaker who's like this revolutionary kind of Kubrick Spielberg type of guy where every time he makes a new movie he like revolutionizes film as a medium, and on the cusp of him making his magnum opus he disappears under mysterious spooky circumstances.
That's awesome.
And these three women and who are connected to him in some way end up going to investigate what happened to him, and the answers behind who, not only like what happened to him, but who how he became famous in the first place is wreathed in a lot of like really grave, unsettling concepts.
I I think I could get down with something like that actually.
Yeah, the question is, I don't know how I would want to package it. Do I make it an audio drama? Do I make it a book? Do I try to make a TV series out of it? I don't have the capital for that.
Um, I presented to some investors. Um, take a shot in the dark and hope it aims and hits with a headshot.
Yeah, well, right now I'm focusing on Magus Elgar because I always wanted to make my own version of like fantasy in my own way, in that I grew so tired of the elves, the dwarves, the ye old Middle Earth type of setting where like I love Lord of the Rings, but everybody mimics it. Everybody tries to take a page from it. But I don't know many people that try to take pages from Discworld, which I personally find to be a much more interesting world. Because in like for Lord of the Rings, you've got Mount Evil Volcano Death with the great Lord Bad Person who wants to grab the MacGuffin and become ruler of it all, and then you've got in Discworld, you've got the very concept of the Grim Reaper dressing up as Santa Claus because Santa Claus has gone missing. And he fills in for his job. That's the entire premise of the Hogfather.
I could dig that. So I could dig it though. So, um, let me ask you a couple things, and this is something I gotta know. Okay, so what inspired you to get into writing, my man? Like off the fly. Like I know you said, I know you were talking about like the concept of like kind of having like this Monty Python esque like like part in your story. But if you could say like off the top, who was your Mount Rushmore of writers that really inspired you to actually take this further and create the content that you have? Because I see a lot of potential and greatness in this, especially with the voice actors you have and yourself. You're actually, I love the voices.
I
Like,
actually only do like 3 voices in my show.
but that's still good, man. I can't do voices.
I just didn't want to make myself like the lead actor or whatever because I'd be pretentious as all get out. But in terms of writing, I'd have to go back a little bit far, at the risk of sounding a little pretentious, to the wee days of when I was a child on a sailing vessel out at sea. I lived on a boat for about 12 years, and when I was about 8 years old, we traveled. My parents took myself and my sister, and we traveled around the world.
Mm-hmm.
During that time, there was a lot of periods where we had a lot of nothing. I mean, we had a TV, we had a VCR, we had a game, I had a Sega Genesis that was hot wired because of all the saltwater damage. But there were a lot of times, there were a lot of times where we did not have the amp hours for our batteries to run the TV. So we'd have to find other ways to entertain ourselves. And I started doing this thing where I'd climb up on the cockpit and start improvising some skits and just make it up on the fly. And it was through that kind of practice that I started to develop a knack for storytelling. People have always told me that I'm a halfway decent storyteller. I think I'm fine. But
give yourself some more compliments, sir.
But I started trying to come up with my own concepts, and there's that growing period where like you're in middle school and you're like you're trying to come up with some kind of original content, and you end up pinching ideas off of shit you saw that day. But as time went on, I got a little better. I enjoyed authors like Dave Pickley, who wrote the Captain Underpants novels.
Classic.
Which is, God, such a thing to be embarrassed and said, like, yes. I was like, oh, I was inspired by J.K. Rowling. I was inspired by J.R.R. Tolkien. I like the guy that made the superhero about the underpants.
Well, shoot. Hey, I read that back in the day.
There was like, I read one series in particular, which is the best kind of junk fantasy novels, was the Nightside series by Simon R. Green, where he basically took a lot of the cliches of like noir investigative mysteries and a lot of these weird fantasies stuff and mashed it all together to create John Taylor, a private detective in a dimension called the Nightside, which is in a realm underneath London where it's always 3:00 in the morning, and a possessed nun will show you her stigmata for the right price. It's that kind of place where like all of the gods and monsters of the world kind of mingle and are gambling together, and it's got all these like crazy weirdness happening in the series, and I loved every second of it. I know there's like an audiobook version narrated by Mark Vidor, and I couldn't get enough of it. But I enjoyed that kind of story where the world itself is really interesting, but it's not trying to like reinvent the wheel. It's not trying to revolutionize how plot works. It's just cool stuff being brought to you. And of course, like as I started writing, one thing that plagues my writing ability, which makes me go a lot slower, is I have what you would call the original plot syndrome, in which when you start out, you're like, I want to make something completely, wholly, 100% original. And then you start writing, and then you're like, oh wait, this plot sounds really similar to this one thing that I had read a long time ago, or oh, this looks like this one show. and you're like, no, go back, rewrite. At some point, you have to acknowledge that like everything's been done.
Yeah,
It's how you package it, how you rearrange things that keeps it interesting.
that's very true. Because like, here's a
Some
good example.
sorry, go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off. I'm so sorry. Um, there was an episode of South Park, and in that episode, basically they were stating that the Simpsons did this, the Simpsons did that, the Simpsons
The
did
episode
that.
The Simpsons did it. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's that's just it. Like, yeah, the Simpsons have done it. Like, Family Guy has done things that the Simpsons has done, but it's still a successful show.
Yeah, like they even ripped that up from an episode of The Twilight Zone.
Right. Like, it's normal. Like,
Right, but it's how you package it. Case in point, if you look back, let's say My Hero Academia.
Mm-hmm.
That is not a very original show.
Oh
but
no,
that's
what,
fine. It's basically
like,
Sky High and Naruto.
heck, I was gonna say X-Men.
I would argue, like, in terms of like the tone and the feel of it, because it's like because with X-Men you're kind of focusing on the adults, but for Sky High you're focusing on the kids.
Truth.
And the kids have like a lot of very interesting powers and stuff, and a lot of the draw of it is what their powers are. And then you got Naruto over here, where the plot structure is virtually identical. But My Hero Academia is a proper evolution of what Naruto was trying to do, if only because Naruto I didn't find to be that great of a show. I mean, I watched like 50. I had to stop after like 50 episodes of it, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore.
Man, you're missing like the best parts, though.
I don't know, man. I thought the best part in that whole series was the Chunin exams, and I'm like, you know what? Look at this. It's ninjas actually being ninjas. I'm cool with this. And then they stopped doing that, and I'm like, okay. I mean, it's not like I missed a lot, because like I played the video games, which surprisingly makes a really good summary of a lot of the stuff that happens in the series, like Ultimate Ninja Storm, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some legitimately interesting scenes, like the weird scene where Naruto talks to his demon finally. That I kind of liked. And then there's the part where what was it? I think it was Sasuke's brother, where he goes, "Bored now, feeding you a crow."
That is true. But man, did you get to see the Jiraiya versus like Pain and them?
I never did.
Dude.
I just like, again, like Naruto was one of those things where like there were so many things that bothered me about it, I couldn't get behind it. But then with My Hero Academia, there's a significantly less amount that bothers me. Only one real thing that bothers me.
Okay, so let me ask you this: what bothers you the most about Naruto?
Naruto?
Oh, the character himself.
I'm really not a huge fan of the big, aggressive, dumb idiot who is the main character that for some reason people always get behind, and if he screams and gets angry hard enough, he can punch his way into victory instead of actually thinking. I don't enjoy that, because it's like, oh, well, it's not because he's actually growing as a person, it's because he's the chosen one. And like the one time that I started feeling a glimpse of that was when he was talking to his demon, the nine-tailed, the kitsune, whatever.
Oh yes.
But like I don't enjoy those kind of characters where they're just loud, they're just obnoxious.
Oh, you would hate Black Clover.
I mean, I'm thinking of like Black Star from
oh, ew! No, I hate that kid.
Yeah, it's almost like they took all of the bad aspects of Naruto and removed all of the good aspects of Naruto, what little there is.
Black Star was like, everybody hates Black Star. I think I literally, there are so many forums just on that character from Soul Eater. Like,
well, like I think a great example of like a distilled representation of that type of character is from this video game way back when, Blue Dragon. which the art style was done by Akira Toriyama, and it's apparently a comic series, and I think it was a TV series at one point, but I only played...
the one game they put on Xbox that made them really compete with PlayStation?
Yeah, I mean, the story is not there, because the villain is such a Saturday morning Captain Planet kind of stupid. I'm like, I don't know how you're going to make this guy last 3 discs.
Well...
because his motivations change like every 15 minutes. But anyway, I was talking about Blue Dragon. In the opening scene, Shu, the main character of the game, starts to get in a fight with a land shark, which is this big robot shark that's destroying their town. They start trying to do plans of like trying to catch this thing with a net and so on and so forth. And this kid thinks it would be a good idea to go at it with a fucking butter knife. And he starts chopping up this thing, and the kid gets up, and he's like, I'll never give up, ever. I'm like, you've got a butter knife, and you're trying to kill a robot, man. Have some thought about this. And meanwhile, all of the parents and stuff are all on the distance being like, oh, man, he really is a true hero. I'm like, he's an idiot. What the hell are you doing?
I mean, he was trying to butter up the shark to, maybe work with his boyish shonen-type charms.
And like again, like shonen can absolutely be done right. Like that's one kind of thing that I did enjoy about My Hero Academia is that the main character, as much of a goober as he is, does actually think about how he does things. I wish he thought more, because the way that I would have done My Hero Academia was that he never gets superpowers and had to find a way to be a superpowered individual by having to think outside of the box, which is how they were building it up, and then they decided to give him kill everything powers, but he still has to think about how he uses those powers. That's interesting.
Well, so basically, you think Midoriya should have been more like a Batman or something?
Look at his book.
I mean,
he had this book where he broke down all the superheroes and how he did everything like that, and him trying to struggle of him not being the kind of special quirk thing that everybody else had. Really tells a story of how you can still be special without having these amazing gifts. A lot of it really comes down to hard work.
I am going to say this. I think that's Midoriya's quirk. He just doesn't realize it yet.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping it is. I guess it's like I found him more I found him potentially more interesting before he had the I can punch a continent powers.
Oh, you're talking about the United States of Smash.
I mean I still like the character. There's a lot of aspects about him I enjoy. I mean, he's better than Bakugo.
That's just it, though. People are obsessed with Bakugo.
Why?
I don't know. Everybody seems to be a huge Bakugo fan.
With Naruto's temperament.
Basically, yes, and yes.
And they're like, oh well, he gets better as a person. He actually gets redeemed. I'm like, does he? Because I don't want to say spoilers or anything, but there's like a part where they're like, oh man, he stuck to his laurels at this one pivotal point where he could have gone evil, and I'm like, no, dude, they just presented the argument to him wrong.
I'm just gonna say this, okay? People like explosive characters. And I'm not saying that in a literal sense. This is not a pun. I mean, it pretty much is. But still, people like characters with that attitude, though. I mean, it's what gets people energy when they watch it. Like, everybody's looking for that character that kind of just like wants to set a different type of bar. He's rebellious.
Do you want to know who's a character that I would say would be explosive but still enjoyable?
Who?
That science chick, the one that creates all the inventions and stuff during the weird exam thing that they did, where it was like a tournament, and she invented all the.
Talking about what she was demoing her stuff.
Yeah, like she's got a very like energetic personality. I like another character is Armstrong from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. He's got
that's my favorite character
when he's like in the moment.
That's actually my favorite character in Full Metal Alchemist.
Or like let me think of another.
Guy sparkles.
like another energetic character would be like Varric from what is it? The Legend of Korra. Like I found him enjoyable, even though he was a prick.
Okay, he was a huge deuce.
Yeah, he was a douche, but you enjoyed watching him.
I mean, he was alright to a point, but I will give props where it's due though. Like let me ask you this: Legend of Korra or Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Avatar: The Last Airbender. There's no question. The problem with Legend of Korra, I would say, like from a writing standpoint, is Korra never learned her lesson. Every season they would reset her and bring her back to the way she was so that they can continue doing the conflicts that they wanted to do. Now, if I was to be perfectly honest, the one thing that I would have done to stretch things out, to make things better, is that I would have kept Amon around a lot longer, because he was a legitimately interesting point being brought about the series that could have lasted a good 2 to 3 seasons, but they resolved it in one. And
True.
That was because he had a lot going on with him that was a very interesting argument. Which I will freely admit I took 1 or 2 pages from as inspiration for my own show. But I like to think that I changed up enough aspects of it so that it wasn't just a blatant ripoff or whatever. But
well, it's more of an homage.
I guess. Like I really found the argument of bending should be outlawed kind of thing as an interesting point. But he did it for different reasons, and that everybody was doing it for the reason why he wanted it gone was because, you know, there were people out there that were not equal. And he preferred like that equalization, which is a different argument than what I had for mine, where I have a villain say, like, look, you guys are using magic, but you're causing untold amounts of destruction.
Wow.
What is the price of being able to shoot lightning from your fingertips?
I mean, everybody's gonna abuse it one way or another.
Right, but a lot of it comes down to responsibility and accountability.
Yeah, true.
If you're going to have the wherewithal and the talent to use these amazing abilities, be willing to own up to the consequences of when it goes wrong.
Well, true. I mean, I will say this though. I actually liked Legend of Korra, just because of the fact that, I don't know, I feel like she did learn something, especially when she lost her powers.
Well, spoilers, by the way, for this, is that I would say that when it comes to Legend of Korra, like the setting is really interesting. There's a lot of really cool characters in it. Like I love a lot of characters in this. And I also like a lot of where they went in directions. Like there were some very interesting scenes in there. It's just, it's not on par with Avatar: The Last Airbender, because what The Last Airbender was trying to do was succinct and focused, and it understood exactly what it was. Legend of Korra had that problem that it had the specter of The Last Airbender hovering over it. And they were trying, and also they had the specter of Nickelodeon really hating that show hovering over it as well.
Well, true.
I mean, but for Korra, let me put it like this, and this is a question I posit to you as learning her lesson sort of thing. Wouldn't it have been better? Would it not have been better if she spent an entire season not having her powers, only airbending, and having to figure out how to cope with that, instead of it getting resolved in 1 or 2 episodes by doing the I win God button? That is the Avatar state.
Well, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. There were some things I didn't like about the series, though.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna say like it's a bad series by any stretch.
Oh no, it's not a bad series. I think everybody have their kind of pet peeve about it in some aspect. My problem with the show was I felt like everything was rushed.
Agreed. And that a lot of that was attributable to Nickelodeon because they thought that they weren't going to get a second season when they did the whole thing with Amon. That's why they're like, oh, press a button, you're back to the way you started at the beginning of the series for no discernible reason. Because if you recall, that Avatar state required a lot of sacrifice.
True.
And now she's using it for like really petty shit.
Well, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna use the Avatar state to cook this toast. That sounds like a good use of my powers.
I mean, if you had the Avatar state, wouldn't you want to see what it tastes like to have fire-bended toast?
I mean, couldn't you just do regular fire-bended toast? I mean, the difference between regular fire-bended toast and Avatar state fire-bended toast is toast and a pile of ash.
Okay, but here's the thing, though. It might taste godly.
Ha!
You see what I did there?
I see what you did there. I just imagine you just like doing that finger blasting gesture and being like, "Whoa!" Yes. I tip my hat to you, sir.
This is one of the reasons why I should never have superpowers, because I would just do some lazy antics. I'd be like, well, if I had the Avatar powers, it was like, well, oh, I gotta move some stuff. Okay, earthbending. Yeah, my house is made out of wood. So, boom, everything's packed. Or, you know what? I really don't feel like getting up, but I need a glass of water. Splash. Like, I mean,
that's all stuff for like regular bending in that series. Like, I guess it's more like for Avatar state. It's like, well, I need to take this boat across the ocean. I could just get in the boat and do it the long way, or
like you just get like
tsunami destroy all the islands as I move this one boat.
Like you said there, you just get like a giant wave. It's like, this is gonna be big enough to get me to Europe in like less than an hour. It's like I done sunk down like several ships on the way down. The Navy's thinking it's a terrorist attack. Nope, this is me going to Europe.
Yeah, but like, going back to like with Magus Elgar, like a lot of, in terms of like that whole thing about accountability, that I kind of wish that they explored a little bit more in Legend of Korra. Our whole series is a lot about creativity, about processing that creativity and the consequences and fallout that comes with expressing that. Like magic is kind of a stand-in for that creative process of like getting inspired, making your own creations and stuff. You're going to butt heads. You're going to cause some kind of friction in a bunch of places. And a lot of times that kind of creative magic goes in directions you hadn't possibly anticipated. And there's a lot of people out there that they don't stand by their creation, or they don't own up to what they did with it.
True.
Know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that's actually stuff in real life.
Yeah, like there's a lot of people where like they wrote a book or something and then immediately distance themselves from it. I'm like, no, man, you got to admit, you got to come to terms with the fact that you made this thing, and if it's a dumpster fire, or if it's like horribly misogynistic or homophobic or racist or any of those horrific words, you got to acknowledge that you did that and express that you're going to evolve from it, that you've grown out of that.
So basically, sort of like people with past tweets on Twitter.
In a sense, like, yeah, I wrote that. I was an idiot.
Yep. A lot of people be like, man, that was a different time in my life. It's like, I should not be judged for this. Like, dude, you were a douchebag back then.
Yeah, and there is a certain amount of vitriol that they deserve for that. I do personally believe there is a slight limit There is a limit to the amount of vitriol that is deserved for something like that, because there are people that have like their entire careers destroyed because they said something immensely stupid that might not represent who they are now.
Truth.
Because I mean, like, I think everybody said like something incredibly ignorant and stupid, and then went somewhere, got edumacated, and realized, oh wow, I'm a monster, and no longer those thoughts no longer echo in your head. Because it's like that whole thing of I was like an example is I was raised Catholic when I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
and my high school religion teacher, because I went to a Catholic school, showed me a list of all of the things that constitutes as being a sin, and the whole idea of thinking sexy thoughts qualified as a sin. And I'm like, sometimes that stuff just pops in my head. I have no control over that.
I mean,
and I dare anybody that has that kind of focus to not have those kinds of thoughts, like just random thoughts that come in your head. It's how you process them, how you filter them, how you deal with those thoughts that is more important than the thought coming in your head yourself. I mean, think about how many times you thought of robbing a bank, or taking an axe and like going to town on a person you didn't like. It's a thought, but it's not a thought that you're enacting upon. It's not a thought that represents who you are.
Well, I agree. I mean, it's one thing to have a thought, but to act on it, that's a whole different story.
It's really how you process it, how you go through that. And
yeah, but I'm not gonna lie. Some thoughts don't need to be shared.
Own up to it.
Some thoughts don't need to be shared with the public. That's the problem. Everyone wants to share everything, like, out there because they want notoriety in some aspect. Ugh. Like, that's the dangerous thing.
I was always against like signing up on social media myself, because like I didn't think that I was interesting enough to talk about my day-to-day stuff all day, every day.
Well,
which is why my folks set me up with my Facebook under protest.
Like, you don't even have to. Like, nobody needs to know that you're eating a ham sandwich. Because some people get so, it's like, oh, look at this sandwich I made. It's a really good sandwich. I even made the mayonnaise. I'm so tired now. I don't need to eat the sandwich now. I'll eat it tomorrow. I'll put it in Tupperware. Like, that's how it is sometimes, though. Like, people just like put stuff.
Yeah, but be honest. If somebody like Beyonce was saying that stuff, it'd be 10,000 people wow. being like, "Yeah, you rest. You deserve that. That sandwich is good for another day."
It's like, yeah, just take the
people
tomatoes
will be talking
off.
about it.
Oh, of course. Like it'll be on like The Root or something like that. It'd be like, in other news, Beyonce decided to take it back and make a cold cut sandwich. More on the story as we go through her Twitter.
You know, how many million views would they get if Beyonce just recorded a video of herself eating a sandwich and posted it on YouTube? Nothing, no music behind it, no nothing, just her sitting there eating a sandwich.
You gotta realize, we live in a country where one of the most famous people is Kim Kardashian.
Something I will never understand to this day.
And like, she's using her influence to get people out of prison. So what's that tell you?
Ugh.
Yeah.
It's like that one joke from South Park where they're talking about Paris Hilton. Oh, she's very famous, but what does she do?
She's famous for being famous. I mean, that's basically it. I was like, okay, I mean, heck, it's a market for people that are famous for being famous. You see a lot of girls trying to be famous for being famous. I mean, I guess that's their niche. It's like, people find me attractive, so look at me. I don't act, I don't sing, I don't dance. I forgot who said that. I think it was one of the ladies of CBS 60 Minutes. Like, you don't sing, you don't dance, you don't act. What do you do? And they're like,
you mind pausing for a quick second? I gotta blow my nose real quick.
I I have never had a. I mean, go on ahead. Like I never heard of people blowing their noses. Um, do what you got to do, my man.
Give me a quick sec, man.
Okay, he's gonna go blow his nose real quick. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about a couple things. You need to go check out this guy's podcast. I think he's a wonderful gentleman who has a lot of talent and a lot of gift. I've listened to a couple episodes myself. I think I need to listen to some more, obviously, to enlighten myself. I like putting my mind in different places because when you expand your mind and you open yourself to the ability of really observing different forms of subjects, whether it's fantasy, whether it's autobiography, or whether it's just a plain fan of like crime investigation series or whatever it may be. Everybody has the potential to be greatness, and I think this man right here has the potential to bring something to the table, especially to those that are a part of the world I like to call nerddom.
Sorry about that. I didn't want to make a bunch of unpleasant noises into the microphone. I'm sorry. What were we talking about?
Oh, I was just sitting here bigging you up. So like
I hope it wasn't anything like, I think this man is going to be the next great, brilliant person. Sorry, guys, I blew my nose. I'm done now.
Well, I wasn't gonna go that far. I just told him like, yo, man, like check out his podcast for real though. You need to check out like what he's doing.
Yeah,
and on top of that, I'm loving the voice. I love the fact that you got such a talent for voices. I'm not good at those. Like I can't like this is the voice you're gonna get. Like the fact that you took some time to even perfect like just doing voice acting, and you got some of these incredible minds working with you. Like I am ecstatic to see different content out there.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to do a lot of different voices for it. Takes practice though.
It seems like nowadays, like I like listening to podcasts. I listen to a lot of different ones over but it's either is a podcast trying to be like Howard Stern, or it's another podcast trying to be like this person. You're kind of trying to make your own niche, and I like that. I think it's OG and I think it's original. Like, can I say my podcast is super original? No, but at the same time, I'm trying to make like content to where I'm touching on all subjects. I'm touching on all people.
I can't even pretend mine's like wholly original in a couple of areas. I do, as my advertising point, I say inspired by the works of Terry Pratchett.
See, but that's the thing though. You're making it your own though. You're trying to make it your own like brand, your own like story. And that's what I like about like talking to guys like yourself, man. It's just, for one, I want to support anybody who has a dream or who wants to bring something different to the table. That's why I do this show. Anything on the menu, anything on the table, or anything on the table, anything on the menu.
Well, something I'm trying to do with this series. Yes. After we finished season 1, we got nominated for Best Original Work by the Audio Publishers Association of America.
Really?
Which was freaking incredible. I got to meet LeVar Burton, Patton Oswalt, and a bunch of people at this award ceremony.
Hashtag jealous.
I got to meet a lot of really incredible people there. I got to meet I finally got to meet William Bylanus and Sandra Espinosa in person. But after that, and I'm still working on toying around with season 2 and all that. But one thing that I've always wanted, has been like a lifelong dream of mine, has been to work on an animation.
Dope.
Give me 1 second. My cat's meowing.
Hi, kitty.
Done?
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, get yourself a cat. Just make sure she's not around when you're doing a podcast.
Well, I had her outside. I guess she got let back in. Anyway, I wanted to make. I've always wanted to work on an animated series, so I started working on that. I picked up a couple of people who worked on the YouTube sensation animation called Has Been Hotel, which I highly recommend looking up on YouTube. They're working on building a full episode pilot, which I'm completely convinced they're going to make into a full series. But I'm making a couple of animated shorts. I've got like 3 people helping me out getting this all on board. We're just about finished with our first one. I don't know if I'm going to put it on YouTube or if I'm going to wait before I show it to some investors or other things like that. But I kind of want to show it to everybody because I'm pretty sure they'd really enjoy it and seeing these characters animated. Because I think the number one criticism I hear about Magus Elgar is I would really prefer this as a cartoon.
Well, I mean, put it into the universe, man. You may get something great out of it.
You know, hopefully it'll become something. I don't know if it will, and if not, I've got a bunch of other things I can fall back on, like my day job.
Well, I want it to happen, so let's make it happen, okay? Like, you need to put it out in the universe, my man.
Yeah,
And
well,
plus,
the one thing I have to really acknowledge about all this is that I have to I have to acknowledge going into this that I am nobody. I don't have any prior projects that I'd worked on that's big enough for people to be like, oh, it's this person, or a reputation of the things that I've created. So I went into this assuming that people would be like, oh, I don't know about this guy. I don't think he's going to make anything too hot. So I said, well, all right. And in my best trailer voice, I go, if you want to listen to Magus Ilgar without being fearful of having to put money down upon it, the first 3 episodes are available on YouTube, absolutely free.
there you go. Here's my thing. I think if you have the right drive, the right hustle, and you're doing your marketing and you're working your ass off, man, it pays off.
Well, there is a piece of this that most people don't seem to acknowledge,
What's that?
and that is luck. No matter
Oh, there's
how
some luck
hard
in
you
it.
work, no matter how hard you put your all into it, there is going to be a percentage chance that it's not going to work out. And it might seem like I've got everything working out right now, but it's still like a bit of a struggle. There's still a lot there. There's a lot of unknowns that I don't know what's going to happen about this.
Oh man, that's
Um,
why it's a journey, man. You gotta just take the ride.
it's the
And
risk that's what's important, is that you have to be willing to take that risk to do it. And I know that
yeah,
that sounds like every motivational speaker out there right now, but
you're speaking
I
pure facts,
cannot
man.
tell you how unbelievably terrified I am right now about this not working out. I'm
Well,
probably sure that if this ends up not working out, I'm going to spend like a couple of days like eating ice cream, crying as I watch reruns of old television shows, like I don't know,
I'm
Beast
just
Wars or something. But you know, I'll get over it and I'll find something new to put my passions behind. But this, I'm putting a lot of myself into this when it comes to not just like my own energy and time, but my creative drive, my finances and other things like that. And I keep having that voice hit my head. I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if people are going to like this.
well,
No matter how good your product is, no matter how good or bad it is, that thought is always going to be there. I don't know if this is going to be something people will like.
you know, I don't think you have to worry about that, man. You have great content. And I'm gonna just say this, man. So a man think and so a man is, bro. Like, I think you need to think more positive in this situation. Just because of the fact you're doing something that people are afraid to try to do anyway. Try to make something on their own. Heck, I had to get over that myself doing this podcast. Heck, I'm not making any money doing this podcast right now, but I am putting I'm putting my heart and soul in this because I feel like I got a voice that I want to speak out and bring something to, the people. Am I the smartest man on the planet? No. Do I have some wisdom in life? Yeah. Is everything I do when it comes to this show, is it going to be perfect? No, it's not. But, but I feel hopeful for the future. And when I get to speak to folks like yourself, man, it does give me hope because I'm getting to reach out and talk to other different people, man. I've been talking to veterans, actors, comedians, pro wrestlers. I mean, I can go down the list, and I'm getting to talk to an interesting man who's writing and crafting a work that I think people will love, man. Because when it comes down to it, this genre you're doing, I know plenty of people just in my hometown alone that would love this. Like straight up.
Show it to
Like
them. Like I'd love to
I,
hear.
I
I'd love to hear
will.
what they think of
I'm
it.
I want you to send me links to where they can access your stories, man. Because you put a lot of time and effort in this. I can tell. I can feel the passion within you that you're bringing something great to the table. It comes from the heart. You want it to be fun. You want people to think. You're bringing a lot of different concepts into one plot, man. I think you don't realize how great you really are, man. And I'm not saying this to be like some corny motivational speaker, because, but just I think you deserve to feel yourself a little bit more. And I'm
Well,
saying that as a man that doesn't even know you.
I
I
appreciate
think
it.
it is going to work out, and it's okay to be scared. Heck, I'm scared too.
Well, what I could say to
I'm
like
really scared.
what I could say to your viewers about this is that there comes a point in your life where you've got an idea that just burns a hole into the back of your head. It drives you crazy. It's something you think about all hours of the day, every day. Ooh. It's something you think about all hours of the day, every day. And you keep telling yourself, well, if I do this, nothing's going to come of it.
True.
It takes a lot of energy and a lot of bravery to be willing to take that risk to see where it goes. And the wonderful thing about it is that it's not going to be perfect. But going into it, that whole journey is such a invigorating experience of making it something of your own. I think the one moment for me where that came to a head was I had to record a Walla session. A Walla session is when you have several actors, usually about 4 to 5, I had about 15, come together and record voices to do background noises and stuff. And I had to have them record a magical duel that happens in episode 8 where we actually like played out, we actually like pantomimed all of the movements and stuff, and I've got a video of it somewhere on online, where all of these people are like cheering, yelling like they're in a coliseum, and they're like really excited, and they're all cheering for like how like exciting the scene is supposed to be. And when we hit cut, they're all laughing and they're all having such a good time. In the back of my head, I'm thinking, okay, I would not trade this for anything.
Yes. Yes.
Whether or not your creation turns out to be like good or not, you're gonna get something out of it.
That's true, man. And that's what I'm talking about right there, man. Like you just kind of like you kind of summarized it, man. This is why I do this, man. Like the people I have talked to, especially in these last 2 months, man, I wouldn't trade it for the world, man, because it's educated me. It's put me in another like state to where I am kind of consciously more aware about some of the things I say or what I do.
Oh yeah, man.
Or how I just view the world. That's the great thing about having discussion. That's the great thing about creating. You just hit the nail on the head on why me and you do this. That, you know what? Can we be friends?
I think we could do that.
Yes. I'm sorry, because I like you. I like you a lot, man. You seem like a very humble dude, and I want nothing but success for you. I want you to give me links. I want you to give me whatever I can to help with your show, because
I really
know
appreciate
people that would. Yeah, man. Like that's the great thing about us, like like doing this type of thing. Like the great thing about being podcasters is we can help each other, we can build each other up. I love building people up. I think everybody deserves to be built up, man. And what you're doing, and I think this has potential to be greatness. And this is me saying this from like an even paid level. Like I want to see you win, and I think you deserve that one. You seem like a man that wants to win. As long as you stay hungry, man, anything's possible. That's why I'm staying hungry out here. It takes a little bit of hunger to really get you going, man. Stay hungry, stay humble.
You know, someone once said that ambition is probably one of the worst vices out there. I've never considered it that. Because ambition got us a lot of really cool stuff in the long run. But, I mean, like, it's done a lot of horrible things, obviously. But, like...
Look, that has done some great things, too, man. I mean,
but I think
about it.
Every great book, every great movie had to require some level of ambition.
Heck, every great leader, man.
Well, every great and terrible leader.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about like just like a positive example. Okay, think about it. Like for me, you know, being African American, you gotta think like the great leaders we had in the past in the civil rights movement, man.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like me, you were having this conversation, we're having dialogue. Like we're from different places, like different backgrounds of how we grew up, different ethnicities, all the values. Maybe we have some similar values, I think. And it all started with ambition to make a change.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the ambition that you have, man. You have passion, and clearly you love what you're doing. I feel like I just had an Oprah moment. I'm
Maybe
Black
it's just a
Oprah.
sign that you're getting there.
I'm Mel Oprah, guys. I'm not Stedman. Is Stedman even alive?
I don't know.
I'm sorry, but no. But let me stop being a dork for a second. But on a serious note, man, like, yeah, ambition is key to anything. And you know what? If ambition is a vice, then I am addicted. You know what? Put it in the pipe and smoke it. Let's do it. Let's inhale. Get high off of it. And that was the cheesiest thing I've said this whole episode. So with that, I think we should go ahead and end it here. My man, where can they find you at? Plug some of your stuff, man. Like, let them know who you are, what you do, where they can find you, and of course, I'll put in some links in the description as well.
Sure. I have been Kennedy Phillips, editor, sound designer, Foley artist, and voice actor. You can find my work at kennedyphillips.org for a list of all the smatterings of nonsense that I have created over the years. If you want to listen to Magus Ilgar, you can visit magusilgar.com to download your copy today. The first 3 episodes are free on YouTube. We also have a series of trailers that explains all the really confusing bits in it, in a very succinct and entertaining way with lots of fancy pictures. Once again, visit magusilgar.com to download your copy today.
And that's MAGUSELGAR?
That is correct.
Magus Elgar. And with that, Mr. Kennedy Phillips.
I will
AKA,
end it on this note. With
AKA
a voice like this,
greatness.
you have a lot of power behind doing these kinds of advertisements. So for your benefit, butt salad.
Oh, God. Okay. And that's how we're going to end this. My name is Anthony Anthem, a.k.a. Black Fabio, a.k.a. Strider in a different dimension, a.k.a. The Black is Back, a.k.a. Young Luther, a.k.a. Lex Luger, a.k.a. Hit you with the drop kick like Mario Jannetty. And with that, we are out.
Hey everyone, this is John Tolley, inviting you to check out War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast. Each week, me and my co-host Christopher Stolley discuss the news and theories surrounding one of the largest movie franchises in the world. So join us every Wednesday at 8 Eastern as we travel to the galaxy far, far away, right here on Anchor FM and wherever fine podcasts are heard.
You know, when you need CBD, vape juice, or a new mod, go to Vape Scorpion. 10859 Boston Avenue, Philadelphia, PA 19116. They are formerly known as East Coast Vapor. They have all your needs, all the equipment, all the juice. And hey, while you're there, sit down, enjoy a beer, bring your own, and just hang out with a bunch of cool people. So guys, if you really need your next vape machine, or maybe you just want to try a locally made juice, make sure you hit up Vape Scorpion. That's 1085 Boston Avenue, Philadelphia, PA 19116. Or give a call to 215-464-8273. Oh yeah, and make sure you let them know that Realm of the Mist Entertainment sent you.
Why didn't the Three Little Pigs go in for some kind of flat share scheme?
Does Jesus get to choose which wine he turns it into?
Why don't Sims have the upper body strength to climb out of a swimming pool?
And does everybody really want to be a cat?
I'm Will Baker.
And I'm Alex Prescott.
And if you're the type of person that overthinks these deep philosophical questions, then Think to the Brink is the podcast for you.
From Disney characters to song lyrics, debates to social etiquette, tune in every week for your dose of paralysis by analysis.
All topic suggestions are welcome. If you can think it, we can overthink it. Think to the Brink. Available on all podcast platforms.
Hey everyone, this is Dak.
This is Liam.
And this is White People Shit.
We are a bi-weekly podcast.
Whoa. Maybe you're bi-week. I'm straight and strong.
It means twice a week, you douche.
Oh. Yeah, listen to us twice a week. On White People Wednesdays, we talk about gay stuff, zombies, superhero sex positions.
And on Featured Peep Fridays, we interview the Featured Peep of the Week.
Yeah, like a fucking furry.
Just search WPS Podcast and look for the white dude in red pajamas.
We're on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.
We believe in equal opportunity humor, where all things can be made fun of. So if your feelings get hurt and you're offended, you can always
eat a dick.
He said that she said, how dare you say that? That's offensive. Well, someone's gotta say it. It had to be said with Venus. Catch the live show Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Check out the recordings at any time. Guest host weekly. Listener, beware. Mature content, sexual content, trigger warning. Do you dare say it?
Hi, my name's Chris, and I'm here to tell you about Realm of the Mist podcast. Realm of the Mist podcast, we talk about all the great entertainment things from movies, music, books, comic books, and many, many other forms of entertainment, as well as politics, current events, and just general humor and having a good time. If you're looking for a podcast that is right up your alley, look no further than Realm of the Mist podcast here on Anchor.fm or where fine podcasts can be heard.
Hi, this is Dave from the Comic Collection at 83 Bustleton Pike in Feasterville, Pennsylvania. Our phone number is 215-357-3332. We are right next to Northeast Philadelphia. We have action figures, gaming, statues, albums, and CDs, graphic novels, other knickknacks, and, of course, comics. Established in 1985, we are your go-to store. Come by and say hello, and say that the guys from Radiocast FM Radio sent you. The address again is 83 Bustleton Pike, Feasterville, Pennsylvania, or call 215-357-3332.
three-eyed turtle? Is that all right?
What the fuck is a three-eyed turtle?
Who wants a mustache ride?
Are you tired of the same old podcasts with no humor? Well, join us for After Hours, where everything is funny, at least to us, on Anchor.fm and where quality podcasts are heard.
How the fuck did we get on this?
I don't know.
Fucking FCC started this shit. It's their fucking fault.